What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. In this video we're going to be working on the Lexus GS300. We're going to be replacing the front lower ball joints. So in my case they are currently squeaking. Here's a clip of what they sound like when you turn or when you drive over bumps. It didn't do it more than these 2 times when I was filming, of course, but usually it does it very often and it's not a pleasant noise, and of course it's not good for your ball joints to squeak. Now these cars are notorious for having bad ball joints in the front. They do wear out often, and obviously that can be dangerous. So let's take care of this situation, replace the ball joints. It's not a very difficult job. You can do it with basic tools. So let's get started. All right, first things first, let's jack up the car, and I'm going to show you in a second where I'm going to put the jack. Let's remove the wheel. If you don't have an impact gun like this, whether it's air powered or electric, you're gonna have to break the lug nuts loose while the vehicle's still on the ground so the tire doesn't spin, or you can have someone step on the brake in the car, but that's just more work. I'm using a special lug nut socket because I have special lug nuts. Otherwise the stock lug nuts won't fit this wheel, but usually it's a 21. And remove the wheel safely. Alright, so if you look here, you have your knuckle assembly right here with the hub and bearing. You have your brakes, and right underneath is where the lower ball joint is located, right there, and that's what we're going to replace. So to do this job, you're going to have to take the brakes off, and we're going to take the knuckle off. If you're working on jack and jack stands, that's going to be the easiest way to do it. If you're on a lift, you could probably get away with just unbolting the bottom of the knuckle because you can get at it from underneath, but I don't feel like laying on the ground. It's freezing cold, and I just want to find the easiest way to get this done. And in my opinion, removing the knuckle is the easiest way to get it done. So because we're going to be removing the brake caliper and the tie rod, which are both on this side, we're going to turn the wheel to the right. You can either do this by turning it from the steering wheel, or if you have the key in the ignition so the steering wheel doesn't lock, you can just pull on the brakes, and that is max angle right there. Okay, so to take the brake caliper off, you'll need to have a bungee cord on hand to hang it after we take it off, and it's going to be held on by 2 bolts, one up here, one down here. I'm taking the caliper off with the bracket, not just the caliper. Makes no sense to just take the caliper off and then the bracket. Alright, leave that on just a tiny bit. Get the top one. I'm going to put that in there so I don't lose it. The rotor's going to want to fall off at the same time, so make sure you hold everything. Take the bottom one off. Carefully slide the caliper off of the brake rotor. In order to not lose or confuse these bolts, I like to put them back where they came from if possible. So I'm just going to give it a couple threads in here. And now I'm going to put this aside. I'm going to hang it with a bungee cord. Now carefully remove the brake rotor and set it aside safely. Now it's time to remove this tie rod end here. It has an odd cotter pin which doesn't bend, but it goes through and then hooks onto the castle nut. Yours might be the kind that bends. If it is, just unbend it, pull it out, or cut it. Yeah, it's good to replace these. This one's fairly new, so I'm going to reuse it. It just has a little bit of surface rust, but it's pretty tight in there, so I'm going to reuse mine. Now this is an aftermarket tie rod end, so my nut is an 18. Yours might be different. Could be a 17, could be a 19. So whatever it is, just remove that. And put it back on just a couple threads, because now we're going to hit the knuckle right here with a hammer. Be careful not to hit the stud or the boot of the tie rod, and break the tie rod loose from the knuckle. That way we can spin the knuckle more and, well, remove it eventually. So now take your hammer and just give this a couple taps. Make sure you don't hit the backing plate either. There it goes. The boot is safe, the stud was safe. So just remove that, put the nut back on so I don't confuse it or lose it. Now the knuckle is free to spin, so next what we're going to do is take the upper ball joint out. This cotter pin on the upper ball joint has one of the bendy type cotter pins in here, so I'm going to have to get a pair of pliers and take this out. I'll just straighten it up as much as possible. The rest of it will straighten out as you pull it out of its hole. For me, this nut is a 19, but this is also an aftermarket control arm, so your nut might be different. Either way, just remove this nut. Swivel sockets come in very handy, by the way. All right, we're gonna do the same here. Put it on just a few threads, and then we're gonna hit the control arm right there, or the knuckle, so we can remove this ball joint from the mounting area. There we go. Sometimes if the control arm has been in for a while, it won't actually pop up. Sometimes it will, but I also have this caliper hanging over it, so probably a little difficult for it to pop up. Either way, just hammer it, check it, hammer it, check it. Eventually it should break loose. All right, now be careful how much you tilt the knuckle because we still have an ABS sensor there that needs to be unbolted. Put this back for now. Now let's move on to unbolting the ABS sensor so we can drop this knuckle down. All right, so now we have these two mounting points for the ABS sensor. Now what I intend to do with this is to unbolt it, give it enough slack so I can put the knuckle on the ground. Now my car is on jack stands and the wire is long enough to put the knuckle on the ground. What you could do also is unplug it from, I don't know, just follow it in there wherever it goes, just unplug it, or you can disconnect it from the hub, or the knuckle I mean, but in those cases sometimes it could break or it could be so rusty that when you put it back in, stuff can fall into the bearing, or just, it's not always easy. So for me, in my case, what I'm going to do is undo these two bolts and give it enough slack to drop the knuckle down on the ground. If it's too far from the ground for you, you could put it on a box, on a bucket, or a jack stand or whatever to support it if you choose to go this route, but it's too far from the ground. I'm going to put one bolt back here, that way I don't lose it, because these are super small. And the other one I'm going to put right in here. Now the knuckle is free to move around and it's ready to be unbolted. Alright, so now that the knuckle is ready to come off the lower ball joint, we're going to undo this bolt right here and this bolt right here, and then the knuckle should come off the lower ball joint. These are 17mm bolts. Alright, set these down. And here comes the knuckle. I'm going to set it down on the ground carefully without pulling on the ABS sensor. And here we have the culprit, our lower ball joint, which I should have mentioned this earlier, but mine are squeaky, so that's why I'm replacing them. They don't actually have any play, but I believe that water got in there, and this is a sealed ball joint. You can't grease them, but I did buy greasable ones. This nub right here is where they would put a grease fitting. These did not come greasable, so I'm just going to replace them with greasable ones. That way I can service them at every oil change from now on, make sure that no water gets in there. Alright, so let's take this off. Alright, so remove the cotter pin to start. The new ball joint comes with the new one. If you have a pair of cutters, that would work better, but this is what I have in my hand, so. And for me, this is a 21mm socket. Again, I'm going to use a swivel just because it's a lot more convenient, even though you don't have to. And now what we're going to do is you can either use a pickle fork and pickle fork it in here, or what I did on the other side, because I want to save this ball joint, obviously not to reuse it, but I want to inspect it without damaging it more to see exactly what the cause of the issue is. I'm going to hit the knuckle right here and pull up at the same time, and the vibrations should break this loose. Now because you're not reusing the ball joint anyway, you can hammer on the stud technically, but that ruins the threads. There you have it. Lower ball joint safely removed. I'm not going to lie, this one feels a little better than the other side. I already did the other side, and that one had a bunch of water in it, and the grease pretty much turned to mud. I'll overlay a picture here. This one feels a lot better than the other side. It's a little smoother, but it's still not the best. I can hear water sloshing around as I move it. And in with the new. This one is greasable, so we're going to need a grease gun, obviously. Slide the ball joint in there. You can grease it before you put it in, but you can risk over greasing it, which means because the boot is not compressed yet, you're going to fill up the boot and then you're going to go compress it when you tighten it up, and then all the grease is just going to come out and you're going to make a mess and just waste grease. So tighten it up first and then grease it. Alright, just press it down, put the nut on, there we go, and let's bottom it out. So the old nut was a 21, the new one is a 19. Let's bottom it out. That should be good. Line up the cotter pin hole. Actually, it lines up perfectly. I'm going to put all the torque specs down in the description if you're interested, so go check that out. And like I said, came with a brand new cotter pin, so obviously I'm going to use the brand new cotter pin. Put it through the hole. Perfect. And bend it over. You can bend it down or to the side or however you want, as long as it's bent over and it locks the nut in. That's what matters. And obviously as long as it's not poking out or scraping the wheel or doing what it's not supposed to do. Alright, that's all set. Let's grease it up. Turn it this way so I can have easier access to the grease fitting. And there is already some grease in there, and there's a little tiny weep hole that the grease can come out through if it's over full. I like to pump it until a little bit of that existing grease comes out, and until the boot looks like it's kind of filled with grease. Alright, let's go for it. That feels pretty good actually. Not sure where the grease is coming out of. Oh, it's coming out of the back. Well, there you go, you can probably see it falling in a second. Disconnect this. It's good to cap your grease gun if you have a cap for it. That way dirt doesn't get in there, and then when you go to grease the next fitting, dirt doesn't come back out. So that's the existing grease in there that they put for packaging, and then you can obviously wipe that up. Now before I go any further, now that it's greased, I like to just work the grease around in there. Just move the ball joint up and down, left and right, twist it, turn it, just do all sorts of movement that a ball joint would do, and just make sure everything feels smooth. If it doesn't feel smooth, then there's a problem. It could be binding, could be a manufacturer problem, but this one feels nice and smooth. Obviously it's tight because it's new, but other than that, it just feels very smooth. So I'm gonna call this one done. So let's get the knuckle back on and finish up. Alright, so let's get the knuckle back on. We have the 2 bolts that go to it. They're ready to go in here. This ball joint has 2 little dowel pins or guide sleeves here that you can center the knuckle onto. And then it should just fall into place and slide the bolts in. Alright, now go ahead and put the upper control arm back in. Alright, so with your 19mm socket, snug this up. That's pretty tight right there. And let's put the cotter pin through. Again, just bend it out of the way, make sure it doesn't get caught on anything. Alright, before we go any further, I'd like to put the tie rod back in, because then it'll just be more difficult to tighten it. There we go. Put the nut back on and snug it down. Alright, so snug it down till you can put the cotter pin through. Again, all the torque specs are going to be down in the description. Just put this through and make sure it hooks onto one of the slots of the castle nut. There we go. That's secure. Let's put the brakes back on. Alright, next let's put the rotor on, and I like to put a lug nut on the bottom because I don't want it to fall on my feet, or not on my feet, but either way I don't want it to fall and get damaged or hurt me. So just take these 2 bolts out that we threaded in to keep them here safe, and then when you put the caliper on, just be careful for the hose not to be twisted. You want it to be nice and straight, and then gently slide the pads over. Now start in your bolts. And of course, using our 17mm socket, let's snug these up. There's the top one. Alright, so straighten out your wheel. And last but not least, don't forget to put the ABS wire bolts back on. And now let's get the wheel back on. Start the lug nuts back on. Alright, let's bottom them out really quick in a crisscross pattern to seat the wheel. Alright, let's bring it down and torque up the wheel. Alright, let's torque the wheel. I lowered the car a little bit onto the ground, and not the whole weight of the vehicle is on this wheel. So, torque it to 90 foot-pounds. Alright, you're all set. I hope you enjoyed the video and I hope it was helpful. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.